I'm Apurva Terwadkar. I'm a student of DKTE Textile and Engineering Institute. I'm also a member of the MESA or Mechanical Engineering Student Association. Plus, I'm a member and also the head of management of the Trident Racing team, which is a Formula student team for DKTE Textile Engineering Institute. So, what is this video about? I'm going to give you a brief general overview of what exactly Trident Racing actually does. So hopefully you're interested. Let's get right into it. You can see two different event logos over here. The first one being Formula Bharat and the second being Supra SAE India. The name can be divided into Supra and SAE India. Supra being organized by SAE India. Let's look at these two events in a little bit of detail. Formula SAE or Supra is, as you can read over here, a national collegiate design competition. We focus on the design, manufacturing and testing of formula style open wheel race cars. So in basic way, we are basically designing a budget F1 car. Like, that is not the perfect description, but that is how I can explain it to you. Now, when it comes to what type of event this is, it's a Formula student event. It's not an F1, F2, F3, F4 event. It's a Formula student event. It does not come in any of those four. It comes below them because we are engineering students and we don't understand anything. But we are learning, and that is why these events are organized. So the event date for Supra is to be announced, TBA. The event venue, however, is the same every year. So it's usually in Buddh International Circuit, Greater Noida, Delhi. And the event nature is very simple. We develop, analyze and test. So development, analysis and testing. Similarly for Formula Bharat, it's not too different. The only difference is mostly the venue and the time and mostly certain rules in the rule book. That's too much detail, you'll understand if you join the team. But basically it's organized in Kheri Motorsports or Coimbatore, and the event date, it's usually in the start of the year. So this year it's a virtual event. Next year 2022, which is when we will probably be attending that event. So that time also around January, February, that's when the event will occur. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about Trident Racing. So we are one of only two teams which participate in Supra from the Kolhapur district. It's a Formula Student Championship held by SAE India, as I mentioned before. And we are a team of enthusiastic engineering students who are using the knowledge that has been taught to us by the curriculum and trying to bring it into reality. The thing with engineering is that you are taught a lot of things, but you're not given a lot of opportunities to actually bring them to fruition. And luckily for us, these events exist, and we have the capacity, we have the opportunity to take part in these events and somehow make all of this work, which is great. So because of that, it is important that you take part in such events if you really want to make use of the engineering capacity that you have. Now moving on, let's talk a little bit about our department structure. We have 6 major departments regarding the engineering part. So the first one being the suspension. Suspension department is first because the captain is from the department. We have the first photo of the captain using a monitor to extend his screen, and he has two softwares open. One is a Lotus Shark software and the other is SolidWorks, and he's using one for designing the vehicle, SolidWorks, and the other for testing the suspension system, simulating it and all, Lotus Shark. So I'll explain the rest of what these softwares do in more detail later in this presentation. However, this photo is more important right now just to show just how good he is at handling two different softwares. So thank you. Now moving on, this is a very interesting sort of video because it shows you what exactly the captain was working on. So this is a screen recording from the Lotus Shark software. It's a simulation of the suspension system. If the vehicle goes through bumps, how will the suspension system react? And because the suspension system uses a dual wishbone structure or a dual wishbone suspension system, because of that we have a very interesting combination of things working out. So let's just watch the video. Now pay attention, because the vehicle is going through a vertical ditch, most of the motion is vertical, and you can look at all of the parts, the intricacies that go into the suspension system. Now let's move on to the next part, which is or the next team, the next department. The steering department, as the name suggests, involves the steering of the vehicle. Let's look at this small video. It's also done in Lotus Shark, and it involves how the vehicle actually steers. So if you pay close attention, you'll see that this this flat or straight line is moving left or right or laterally, and that is actually the rack. So it's a symbolic representation of the rack, and basically that is what allows the vehicle's wheels to actually move left or right. So if you look at the actual rack and pinion arrangement we have for our steering system, you'll realize that when you look at it in person, it makes more sense than just a straight line moving left or right. Now let's move on to the next slide, or the next department. The powertrain department is also very interesting because it takes the power from the engine and then it provides or transmits the power into the wheels, the required wheels. Some vehicles are front powered, some vehicles are rear powered, and it all depends upon what particular specification you want. Now over here you can see the intake manifold. The intake manifold takes the air inside and then it takes it up to the engine. The intake manifold's input over here on the left hand side, as you can see, we're using a software called ANSYS to simulate and analyze the pressure that is being generated at each part of the intake manifold, from the intake, which is the red part, and the outlet, which is over here, the yellow part. Now the red and yellow do not at all specify the inlet and the outlet, rather they specify according to the scale present over here. You can see on the screen right here, there's a pressure scale. So the lower the pressure, the cooler the color, and the higher the pressure, the hotter the color, basically. So that is how this particular thing has been graded. And the inlet is the inlet for the intake manifold, and the outlet is the intake or the inlet for the engine. This air will now travel into the engine, allowing the engine to continue with its combustion cycle. Moving on to the engine. We use a KTM racing engine. It is a Duke 390 engine, and it's very important to know where it is placed. It's placed at the back, and it allows us, because it's a rear heavy vehicle now, so that allows us to have a lot of traction in the rear side, because that also gives us enough power for the rear wheels, giving us enough torque and allowing us to just zoom ahead, hopefully in front of the competition. Now moving on to the next department, the braking department. This department is important because now that you've transmitted all of the energy or all of the power from the engine, you're moving forward very fast and you don't know how to stop. So jumping out of the vehicle is not an option. However, over here we have what is known as a brake rotor disc. Brake rotor or a brake disc. It's commonly known as a brake disc, but it's technically known as a brake rotor. This is one of the iterations of our brake rotor, and the brake department has tried to make it as attractive as possible. It's not like a Mercedes or any sort of really high-end one, but they tried their best, so let's give them props for that. Now this has been done in SolidWorks. This is a screenshot from SolidWorks. It's a very minimal interface. It's great. It's not too hard to use. Talking about the software later. Moving on, we have a video from ANSYS where we've actually analyzed, or the brake department has actually analyzed that particular rotor. And over here you can see that, again, as with before with the intake manifold, there's a small scale on the left hand side, but this time it's about temperature. So when you look at the animation, you can see that the brake rotor has been animated to show the varying degrees of heat that is being generated on the disc. The red being the hottest temperature and the blue being the lowest temperature, in this case the bottom part being 0, which is, let's be honest, very rare when you're braking, because friction produces heat, etc, etc. On the left hand side over here, if you follow my mouse, you'll also see that there are multiple different ways we can actually decide what we need to look at or what we need to analyze. So there's convection, radiation, heat flux, and all of that. So there's a lot you can do with this department. There's a lot which you can also do with this particular software. We'll go into detail later. Now to the next department, the chassis. People tend to call this the chassis or something like that. It's actually chassis, but if you want to say chassis, that's I don't know if it's fine, but I'm not a judge, so I will not judge you. This is the current iteration of our particular chassis. We have we have chosen this particular angle because it looks very nice. This is again SolidWorks, and we are again very happy with how it worked out and how it turned out. In the chassis, if you look very closely, you'll see that there's a lot of triangles on the design, and the reason for that is because these triangles are made, it's called triangulation, and these triangles are used to spread out the stress that is produced at the joints where all of these triangles are converging, or well, mostly all of the pipes are converging. So for example, this node over here, or this node over here, or this one over here, there's a lot of triangles. So yeah, they're three-sided shapes if you didn't know that. Moving on to the next screenshot, you can see over here from ANSYS, we've done a sort of impact test on the chassis. It's a front impact test, so you can see that we've clearly wrecked our chassis because there's total deformation, which we are checking. And over here, again, there's a scale, and from coldest color to hottest color, the hottest being the largest amount of total deformation, and that is in the front because again it's a front impact, so that means that the brunt of the entire force that will be applied will be in front. Again, anything can be done with ANSYS, because if you want to check any sort of forces, that's the go-to software throughout the industry, so it's an amazing software basically. Moving on to the next department, which is the electronics department or electrical department. This department controls the very crucial task of actually being the brains of the operation. Well, the people in this department handle what is known as the ECU, or the electronic control unit. So this particular unit is very important because it controls the air fuel mixture that goes into the engine, allowing the engine to provide optimum or optimal output and performance, meaning that basically your engine's output or your engine's performance depends on whatever you guys from the electronics department do. So let's hope the people in this department are very good, because otherwise we are all screwed. Moving on to the next particular department, the very important department that holds all of these departments together, management. And people will be very pissed off when I say this, but let's be honest, if there's no management, then none of the departments will function. I say that with a lot of passion because I am from the management department. I'm the head of management, for crying out loud. But yeah, the management department is important for multiple reasons. First of all, there's no screenshots over here because the management department does not unfortunately have softwares or anything. I use Google Sheets, and that is a very unattractive software to use. So let's just say that being part of the management team is more important because of its function and not because it looks cool. So moving on from the management, let's move on to the softwares that we use. Now, I've been mentioning that I'll be talking about this in detail, so let's talk about it in detail. So we have three softwares that we use, particularly SolidWorks, ANSYS, and Lotus Shark. Now, SolidWorks is typically used for 3D design, CAD design, CAD, which is basically computer aided design. So this is what SolidWorks is used for, designing the particular part, the chassis, whatever part you want, whatever part of the chassis, the car you want to do. Then we have ANSYS. ANSYS is used for analysis and simulation of whatever analysis you've done. And we have Lotus Shark, which is also a simulation software, but it allows you to simulate the suspension system, the steering system, and anything connected to the suspension and steering system. So let's look at the interfaces in more detail. Now over here we've got two different examples. We've got the chassis departments, two examples from the chassis department, then we've got two examples from the brake department, this being the brake rotor, which we talked about previously, and then we have the brake caliper. The brake caliper is basically the part that kind of clamps onto the brake rotor, allowing the car to actually stop. You must have seen this on the bikes you ride. So it's a very common thing that you see, and usually people have red colored calipers, which makes it look cool. It does look cool, by the way. Next we have again the photo from our captain, but this time it has more context because you know what I'm talking about. So on the left he has Lotus Shark. He's controlling all of the wishbone systems that are going on. He's got the dual wishbone system for suspension, and on the right side he's got SolidWorks opened with where all of these wishbones will be connected to the chassis. So you can understand why he's using two different screens. The reason being that on the left he's looking at where these points are, and on the right he's trying to judge where these points should go. It's a very tedious task, and again kudos for the team for doing all of these technical things and not blinking an eye. There's another video that the captain has sent for us, and it's a very beautiful video. It's an assembly of the wheel hub, and I'm just gonna let you watch it first. So yeah, it's the smoothest video I've seen in a long time regarding mechanical parts, and if this were rendered it would look beautiful, but this is basically what we call an exploded view, where basically you take an assembled unit and then you bring out the separate parts, and then if you animate it, then it's an animated exploded view. But yeah, this was just here because it looks cool. There's no specific point to why I put this here. Now moving on to ANSYS. As I mentioned, it's for analysis and simulation. This is a screenshot from, again, the front impact for total deformation for the chassis, and then we have another screenshot for the intake manifold. Now again, I'm just going to point out certain similarities and differences between these two screenshots again. Over here on the left you see the same scale that you see on the right, the screenshot on the right. But the difference here being that over here we're measuring the total deformation, and in this case you can see that the numbers are also different obviously, and then we have a directional sort of total deformation because this particular measurement is a directional measurement. Then we have the pressure contour, where basically it's a range of the pressure that is produced, and then we are assessing based on the colors how much pressure is generated at what part of the intake manifold. Not going to spend too much time on this, but if you look to the top right, you'll see it's a 2020 version, so it's latest. Now moving on, we have Lotus Shark. Now again, it's a simulation software, but it's majorly used by the suspension and steering department, mostly because I think they like how it looks, and also because they can do these kind of wacky animations. This one we've seen already. If you look to the left, you'll actually see that there's a lot of buttons. I'll pause it over here. There's a ton of buttons, but the one we're using right now is the 3D bump. So in this case, that means that the vehicle will simulate bumps, and it's not just that you have something imported and then you press the button, it starts bumping up. You need to set up certain constraints so that it stays connected to that. Otherwise you'll just have a lot of flailing parts, which is pointless. There's also 3D roll, there's also 3D steer, the steer being part of the steering department. So yeah, there's a lot of connection going on here. Each department depends on the other, and the softwares are aware of that. Over here again, the steering department, you can see over here that the 3D steer has been selected as compared to the other ones. Yeah, now moving on to this part, which is, I feel, very important or crucial. How do we actually work as a team? What is the whole thing? Now I'm going to take a pause and let you just look at this particular chart. Just take a look at this and try to understand how the design flows. I'll be explaining it in much further detail, but just take your time. Okay, that's all the time I'm going to give you. You can pause and watch whenever you want. Now let's look at the first part, which is recruitment, which is basically what I'm trying to do right now. This is an orientation of sorts. So if you guys were wondering why this video even exists, this is for you guys. Over here we have the video of when we were recruited. It's a very short video. We actually posted it on our Instagram, and yeah, let me just show you. And yeah, so over here if you look very closely, that's me trying to understand what the hell is going on. So basically this is how the recruitment was done when it was all offline. We used our college's classrooms. Unfortunately right now we don't know when the college is going to start. So as of right now, this is all online. Otherwise, you'd be seeing me face to face. Moving on to the next part of this whole thing. Now, planning is a very, very core important part of any sort of event or any sort of team, anything at all. And this is also where management comes into hand. So, just me and my team. Planning is important because once you recruit all of the members, you need to tell them what departments they're in, and then you need to give them a sort of team orientation to tell them what work their particular departments do. So for that, we have a particular system. We have weekly department meetings. So that means that every week we sit down and we discuss the reports of what has been done in that week. If somebody who has been allotted a particular work has done that work, and etc. etc. Then we have bi-monthly team meetings. Bi-monthly meaning every 2 months. So bi-monthly team meetings allowing the entire team to come together and sit down and discuss what all has happened. And around this time as well, every month or so, it's a very arbitrary number, but we usually have team leader meetings as well. If it's very urgent, then the management also calls up meetings. Basically, it's a proper functioning organization in and of itself. Then we also have introductions because it's a team orientation of sorts. We have introductions to the softwares. All of the seniors sit down and start teaching the students how to use the softwares. It's a very emotional moment, and to be honest, that is as Abhishek Upmanyu says, "Yahi baatein to baad mein yaad aayengi." Sorry for the cheesy reference. Anyway, moving on. We have the team head meetings, which usually, as I mentioned, are an arbitrary amount, usually monthly, but sometimes can increase or decrease based on the urgency of the meeting. And the particular importance over here is that the team heads meet for the first time after they've been recruited. And the first thing that they have to do, unfortunately, is sit down and look at all of the previous things that have been done. So all of the previous designs, all of the previous plans, all of the previous sponsorships, everything. We have to sit down, reevaluate everything, and then further improvement in this whole vehicle. Because let's be honest, if you use the same vehicle as the last time, then it's not a big engineering event, is it? It's just a copy paste event. And then we also sit down and have a timeline. The timeline is very important because if you don't have a date planned, then you don't know. Let's say I've decided that till this date I want all of the designs for all of the departments finalized. That is part of the timeline. Similarly, we want the assembly, the virtual assembly of the vehicle planned at this date. That is also part of the timeline. Manufacturing, part of the timeline. Actual assembly, part of the timeline. Actual testing, part of the timeline, etc. etc. with ending with the event, and hopefully the team continues. So this is what the team leaders do. Then we move on to this particular photo. This is one of our meetings. This is one of our planning meetings. We sat down and we actually had a proper meeting and we decided what to do. So again, that's me because I am attention seeking. Anyway, designing. Now this is a very important step. Designing is very crucial for one major reason. How the hell will you make your car without designing? That is why we have SolidWorks, that is why we have ANSYS, that is why we have Lotus Shark. And in designing, we have two separate steps involved as well. To be honest, there's actually three. There's pre-design, designing, and then there's post-design. So the pre-design involves calculations and analysis of previous designs, and it also allows us to look at all of the flaws from the previous design if there exist any, and if there aren't, then we just try to improve on them anyway, because that is what engineers try to do. Jugaad is in our blood. Now, post-design involves system analysis and material selection, etc. And designing involves designing. So this is a very interesting photo. This is also a photo of the major team leaders having been sitting and designing for over, I guess, 7 or 8 hours. So it's understandable that our previous team captain is sleeping. Don't judge him for that. Also, sorry, Mayank. Now, the next step in the process is manufacturing. This is very important and it's very fun because you get to handle all of the tools, all of the materials. Now, coming to materials, I need to mention something. The management team was not just sitting and doing nothing. we were sitting down and looking at all of the materials required, the standard materials for the, because there is a rule book for the event. They don't just tell you to make a car. They have rules, they have guidelines, and we have to set our materials in their specific number of materials. We have standards and we use the materials that the standards dictate. So based on that, for example, the brake rotor is usually made of SS410 or stainless steel of the 410 variety. So that is one of those things. Then we have what is known as an upright, which is fixed into the wheel. That is usually made, or we usually make it of standard of 7075T6 aluminium. It's an alloy of aluminium. So these are some examples of the materials that we have to look for. And because of that, and because there's a lot of people who actually give out all of this stuff, there's dealers, there's showrooms and stuff like that. So the management team has to get quotations and has to procure all of this material quotations and all of the information that is required from the teams to the company, from the company to the teams. So back to manufacturing. Here's a few exciting photos, just so you know that we did a lot of stuff. And also these photos are very fun because there's a lot of sparks flying, and let's be honest, if there's sparks flying, everybody love it. So here are a few of our members actually cutting a few of our pipes. This process is also known as profiling, because we create a profile for the pipes. The pipes, and then we also later on weld them together. Currently the chassis is being held by what is known as a spot weld in order to just barely hold it in place. This is another example. And then we're trying to label the pipes, because it's important to have all of the labels set, because if you don't know which pipe goes where, then it'll be a mess, and you won't. That's also part of management, I guess. I'm taking credit for a lot of stuff, but it should be part of management. I am not going to take credit. So over here there's another 3 photos. The one on the left over here, you can see over there, they're actually taking measurements for the pipes, which is also crucial, because when you cut the pipes, you need the measurements, you need to take tolerances, and all of that comes into account. We also have me over here. I'll zoom in on myself. That's me, yes. So also we have another photo of the guys actually setting it all together. And then finally we have one of our seniors, Mr. Arbaz, actually trying to explain to us how profiling works and using a grinder. And I don't know if it's going to be visible in the video, but look at our stupefied faces. Okay, so apparently only his face was visible, and that's good, because I was also in the background and I looked very stupid. Yeah, moving on to what is probably the most important part, because once you're done with manufacturing, which also involves assembly, by the way, so once you're done with manufacturing, there's a very important part, which is testing. And testing is testing. You sit down in the vehicle, you test it out. If you assemble the engine together, if you have all of it connected, then you test it out. If all of the conditions have been satisfied, if all of the rules have been satisfied, if the side impact structure is according to the rule books, etc., blah blah blah, lots of stuff going on here, rules and all of that. So it's very important to understand that testing is important, and well, that's how we work. So now let's look at what is called car design and car testing. Now, I did not put a lot of photos in testing for a very specific reason. That's because we already have a few videos from the previous team. Also because our current car is still in work in progress. So the designs are ready, we just need to manufacture it. Over here again, we have the same designs. You've probably grown tired of looking at the same screenshots, which is why I used old screenshots. Hey, I bet you didn't notice that. This is a partially assembled vehicle. You can see on the right over here what is called an impact attenuator. It basically takes in the impact that comes in front and then it tries to absorb it. It looks like a thermocol block, but it's not. It's a foam of a very high quality, but it still is very, very cheap. according to our jokes at least. It's an inside joke, it's not cheap, it's very, very expensive. Then we have a much more clearer screenshot. This is a better screenshot because it shows a good angle. So you can see that the engine over here has been mounted. You can see that the headrest has been mounted, the seat has been mounted, the wheels have been mounted, the suspension system has been mounted, the steering system is mounted. Lots of mounting done, and there's still a lot to go. So, you know, there's the body work and stuff, a lot of stuff. The car needs to look nice, not just like a skeleton, which is why we have skin, by the way, fun fact. Now there's this video of us testing the engine firing, and it's amazing, but it's also not something that you should consider ideal, because the engine should not actually spew fire. That is just something we did because the video looks nice. Okay, so that's the bulk of the video. Let's move on to what I will show you. It's an interesting video because it's one of the old testing videos. That's the sound of our car. But over here, okay, I'm just pausing it for a second. Over here you can see the radiator. You can see the fans whirring over there. That's just an observation. I'm just glad I got to, you know, spot the radiator. So I think I mentioned this before, but in case you missed it, this is a Formula student event. It's not a Formula 1 event. So you won't see cars taking off at insane speeds. It's a normal vehicle, for God's sake. Then we have another testing video. This time he's doing something which I'm going to explain to you. It's very different. He takes a pause, he waits for a bit, and then he's going to start the vehicle again. It's called priming. You allow the fuel to enter into the engine system. That way it makes it easier to come back. Hear the sound of the... Yeah, can you hear me? Also we have a very Also, just take note that over here on the left hand side and the right hand side of the car, you can see a lot of other logos. It's called sponsors. We need a lot of financing, and not everything can be done from our pocket. So we need to look outside, and we need to find sponsors who will finance the event. So moving on to the next video. This one is much more fun because it's a slow motion shot of the wheel actually, you know, gaining traction, because it initially did not. This is actually, we did it on purpose. It's not like accidental, but it's a slow motion. So yeah, I've seen this video quite a lot of times. I like slow motion videos, and this is fun. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the presentation. This also opens up another aspect of this presentation, which is this actually an advertisement for our team? And funnily enough, this is. So you've been sitting through a YouTube commercial this whole time, haha. Okay, so you can contact us at any of these details. The team captain, Mr. Amok Sahasrabudhe, the one handling the two screens, those are his details. I'm the management head. Those are my details. Just don't call us at like 2:30 in the morning or something. We will definitely ask you to please leave our lives. For other contact details, we have the Trident Racing Gmail address. We have the Instagram ID, our Instagram ID. There's a lot of photos and stuff like that on there as well. I personally have posted a few memes as well, and definitely follow us We are posting regular updates about what goes on with the team. In fact, a behind the scenes footage from the actual whole orientation has been posted to our story yesterday. So yes, that because yes, it's 1 today, and that is the day of the event. So I time traveled. So yes, that is a fun thing. This is our logo, by the way. It's an amazing logo. So if you want to contact us, these are our details. And over here you can see a very interesting slogan, and I'll say it in the deepest, awesomest voice I have. So it's Trident Racing. All it takes is all you've got. That is so bad. You've seen the presentation. You know what we do as a team. Now, are you interested in actually being part of what we're doing? If you are, then let us know. Call any of these two numbers or send us a message on WhatsApp, Telegram, and you can also send us a message on our Instagram or even send us an email on the email address. Because let's be honest, more people means more fun. Now, there's an event coming up called Formula Bharat 2022. And as the name suggests, it will be taking place in 2022. We would love to see you guys be part of this new team that we're building, and hopefully, if everything works out well, maybe, just maybe, you'll be part of that team that goes for Formula Bharat. So yeah, I'm Apurva Terwadkar, Head of Management for Trident Racing, and I'll see you later.